Hello, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
I would like to, normally, I would like to go ahead and jump in and get like actionable advice right away. But because of who you are and what you're doing, I actually think that we might mention a little bit about you first, like a traditional interview normally goes, which is not my typical style, but I think it would be appropriate here. The lovely woman appearing next to me on the screen is Laura Sims, and she is a career coach who delves deep into the psyche of how people choose their careers and build their careers. And I'd love if you sort of spun off a little bit more about what you do.
So as you say, I'm a career coach, and my focus is really helping people find work that is meaningful and purposeful for them. And that can mean a lot of different things, but kind of looking at the building blocks of what makes a meaningful career, what's going to also make you money, and how all those things overlap.
Yeah, that's great. Um, when I follow Laura regularly, I get her updates in my inbox and read her blog, and she's really excellent. So you should probably hop on board after you watch this, and we'll let you know where to do that then. So I wanted to talk about you've got this new book that you just released called The Purpose Paradigm. And a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about today is stuff that's in the book, which I kind of flipped through last night and is like, oh, it's awesome. It's chock full of good stuff, and really, really interesting stuff that I kind of hadn't thought about before. But I'm going to start with kind of a big, broad. What is the purpose paradigm that you talk about?
So I work with a lot of career change clients who I keep hearing the same things again and again and again from them. And I had my own kind of career crisis several years ago before I got into coaching, and I was experiencing and feeling a lot of these same things. Basically, the purpose paradigm is the way that I see and that I've come to know what a meaningful career can look like today based on the work I've done with clients. And I think usually what I was running up against and my clients are getting frustrated with is we're trying to model our careers now after our parents' generation careers. It's what I call the boomer blueprint, where it's a lot more about accumulation, stability, clock in 9 to 5, go home, live your life afterwards. And the purpose paradigm, your life is much more integrated with your work. It's not so much life and work over here. They kind of start to do more of this. So the idea of the purpose paradigm is to give people who are wanting to do meaningful work kind of a new blueprint of what that can actually look like instead of trying to do it like mom and dad did it.
Mm-hmm. So, so is that what keeps people kind of stuck in there even after they realize that they hate their career? It's because they've been kind of trained to do it that they stay there?
I think that's part of it. I think I got an email from a woman who said, "I'm just starting to read the book. I'm crying at my desk at my office because I thought it had to be like this. I thought I had to get up and put on tight shoes and go sit at a desk all day and then go home and veg out. And I didn't really believe that there was another way." So I think a lot of people, it is just kind of what we accept is doable is where we tend to live. And the goal of the purpose paradigm is to get what you accept as believable to be a little more broad, right?
Yeah.
And not just have to 9 to 5 it and eat cereal on the couch and
Mm-hmm.
get home because that's all you have energy for.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I work with a lot of people who feel like that, and it's not a way to live. It's no good way to live at least.
Yeah, and there's plenty of people who can work a 9 to 5 and they do feel fulfilled and they do have
Mm-hmm.
that sense of purpose in their work. So this is not a anti-day job kind of book. It's finding out what for you is going to make your life and your work feel purposeful. And for most of us, that means we got to ditch that boomer blueprint.
So you don't think that everybody is up for like a purpose-driven career like you talk about?
Yeah, I think everyone is, but I don't think a purpose-driven career has to be like a work at home, nonprofit, save the world kind of thing. There are
Ah.
plenty of 9 to 5 jobs that can be purposeful. One thing that I say in the book is that any career matched with the right person can be purpose driven. So like for me, I'm not going to be a purpose driven dentist or architect or even painter, because that didn't push those buttons for me.
Yeah,
But for another person, they might.
I hear you. And so, why do you think it's important to get out of that stuck job and into a purpose-driven career? What about that changes someone's life?
What I have found with working with career change clients is that career change is always bigger than what's my next job. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's an enormous life shift. It's an identity shift. A lot of times when people start showing up in their work, they start showing up in other areas of their life, whether that's in their romantic relationships or as a parent. Like I've been working with some career change clients lately, and one woman said, I don't even know what I want my new career to be yet, but I'm moving out of this crappy apartment. I'm starting to wear like my fun clothes again. Like I'm not eating the same foods every day. It really just kind of can be a door in to rejuvenate a lot of things in your life.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I guess there's a lot of guilt, I guess, around stepping into a career that's fun, that's enjoyable. We feel like it's supposed to be a negative experience. I guess we feel like work is bad, and so when we're at work, we should feel bad. I mean, do you ever feel like that? Now you're in a career you love, so maybe not.
Yeah, and I mean, and this is another thing I say, even a career you love, there's going to be days where you have to do stuff you don't like, right? I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
you got to sort through the email box, you got to make the phone calls, whatever. But I do think part of, this boomer blueprint old way is to think of work as this thing I have to go to and, have a case of the Mondays and all
Mm-hmm.
this. And it just doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Let's see, what else did I want to ask you? I have to take a second because I'm listening to you, and then I'm like, oh, I should read my questions. Make sure I get to all of them. Oh, that was a good one. I wanted to talk about people who are just kind of starting out in their careers, and maybe haven't really gotten going yet, aren't stuck yet. Is there a way to avoid getting into career paths that you'll not enjoy?
Yeah, and I think it's pretty predictable for there to be some learning curve. So it's not like I can completely guarantee you'll never have a job you don't like, right? Because part of the way we learn is by getting in a work environment and being like, wow, I really like the people here, I really like the hours here, but I just don't like the culture. I feel like people are very negative, or so there's all these different aspects that contribute to our work, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
kind of I think of it as three layers. There's the why, which is kind of the big vision stuff of purpose, service, contribution. Why do I want to be working in the first place? Then we've got the what layer, which is like actually the actions that you're doing. Am I calculating numbers? Am I working with people? Am I raising money? Am I painting? And then there's the how layer, which is kind of the environment you're in, the way that you engage with people. So, do I work for a company? Do I work on my own? How much do I get paid? All that kind of stuff is how level stuff. So I think, as you're beginning your career, just the more you can know about these concepts and understand kind of how that pyramid stacks up, I just think you can make smarter choices. And again, it doesn't mean you're going to avoid every bad job that could come down the pike, but you're just able to be much more mindful than I think most of us are when we get out of school or start looking for that first job.
Yeah. Yeah, my search was tough, and I ended up in a corporate job, and it wasn't for me. But I learned from it, and I was able to move on and do something that fit me better. Okay, so my parents told me growing up that you can either choose a career that you love, or you can choose a career that's going to give you the resources, like time and money and stuff, to do what you love. And to some extent, I think that's true, but I always chose the passionate career. So I don't understand the flip side of it. Like, what do you do if you kind of if you love surfing and you have a family to support and you're the only one who can do it, but you love surfing, you can't really be like a surf instructor. It's not going to make you enough support to be able to support your family. You're not going to have the money for it. What do you do when it gets that tough and like you can't pursue your passion?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, the thing from your parents is total boomer blueprint, right?
Yes.
You have this, or you have to make this, and those are the only flavors available, right?
Mm-hmm.
So purpose paradigm. Okay. So I'm glad you brought this up because the purpose paradigm is not about take your self-indulgent hobby and let's make money from it. It's not. That's like the other extreme. Not that surfing has to be self-indulgent
Right.
and you can't monetize it, but you sometimes are able to make good money from a hobby, but again, a hobby is not always the door into a purposeful career that's going to sustain you, right? I'm looking for the overlap of I'm going to love it, it's going to feed me, it's going to energize me, and I can take care of myself.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think there are plenty of artists and hobbyists and adventurers out there who want to make a living at what they do. And again, sometimes you can, sometimes it takes several years to get there, but the work I'm talking about is neither the, well, you just have to be practical end of the spectrum, or the just follow your passions, because I think a lot of us have tried that, and that doesn't always work out either.
No, it doesn't. So if you are already entrenched in a career that you hate and you're trying to get out of it, but you don't know what you enjoy. You don't have any, you've just worked at this career and that's what you do, and at home you talk to your family and friends and maybe you watch Netflix movies. Like you don't have any leads to go on. How do you start that search for a purpose-driven career?
Yeah, I think rather than thinking of what am I interested in and what do I like, that tends to answer the question like, well, what do I want to be when I grow up? Kind of putting a job description to it. Mm-hmm. I encourage people at the beginning of a process like this to start with purpose. Why do I want to be when I grow up? How do I want to be when I grow up? So how do you want to contribute to the world? What's important to you? What do you wish more people knew? Is there any cause or group of people that you are in a unique position to champion because of your life experience or simply enthusiasm? So to really start with those big picture kind of meta questions about service, contribution, purpose, identity, all that stuff before you get into, should I be a teacher or a coach or we tend to go straight for career titles, and I think that's backwards.
That's probably part of what we've learned from our parents' careers. You kind of, and you're taught in school too. Like they'll give you career tests, and it'll be like, here's what you should be, and it doesn't talk about what you believe in or anything like that you're talking about with the why.
Well, and I know I keep like railing on the boomers and all that stuff, but I think. I think also there used to be fewer options. Mm-hmm. So there's so many more careers now that have come along because of technology or because they've just been invented, or people have made these fields up that weren't really available to our parents. So maybe it was easier, back in the day to be like, I'm going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, I'm going to be a writer. Now it's like there's so many things you can do, and the internet makes so much possible that I think it's not as easy as just pick a major, go to college, start working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that means it's tougher to navigate and kind of more stressful for people, I think. And I'm pretty recently graduated, and I do remember feeling that sense of being lost in the process, because you would ask a teacher or a mentor, where do I go from here? And they'd say, well, you go get a job. And I'd say, well, what kind of job? And they'd say, I don't know, you have an art major. And I'd just laugh. It's like, it's just the field is so open, the world is so open to you that you really feel like you have no direction. And I like your idea of starting with a purpose, with a why. I think that would make it easier for people.
Yeah, and and that can also shift throughout your life too. So When I'm working with people to find a purposeful career, I also don't believe in career soulmates, that there's this one career, and if you put your finger on it, you're just going to be happy for the rest of your days. I think we change, and our priorities change, and what we value changes. So I think we need to be able to be fluid enough to shift with that. But I know something that I told myself again and again when I was graduating from college, that I tell my clients now again and again, is you don't have to decide what you're going to do forever. You just have to decide what you're going to do next.
That's wonderful. I think that's a nugget that's really important.
And
There's a lot of pressure.
yeah, and that really is a shift from kind of this boomer blueprint mentality of what's the career going to be, get in it, stick in it, eternity, right? We just don't, it doesn't operate like that anymore.
Yeah, I think our culture's changed a lot because the statistics always show that people don't stay in the same career anywhere near as long as they used to. Most people used to pick one career and they did it until they retired, and now people move companies all the time and they even switch careers a lot. And it's I think it is a lot more fluid. I think we're getting there. You know?
Yeah. So my approach kind of is, rather than saying that that's a problem, let's just say that's how it is and work with it.
Yeah, I hear you. So if your purpose and your why behind it is humongous, you want to cure world hunger or something, can you break that? Like, how do you break that down to a manageable path to find a job?
Yeah, so I think once you've got kind of that big picture of, okay, here's something I think I'd like to do in the world, this really like turns me on and I really feel like driven to do this, then I think you start getting into, okay, what do I know? What are my abilities? What can I bring to the table? Where are my strengths and my skills best going to be used? And automatically that'll eliminate a lot of stuff because, you're good at what you're good at. And that's something else that I really work on with clients, is to get the things that come most naturally to them on the payroll. So that if you're a natural people person, let's have you doing that. If you would rather sit in a dark room and do numbers, let's have you doing that, right? So I kind of think, again, it's that why and then the what. So what kind of actions are you going to be doing? How are you going to be a service? Just kind of the more details of what you're going to be doing.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Big and then little, and then then you can narrow down into
like funnel,
like a
right?
pyramid. Yeah, a funnel. We'll have a career funnel. Okay, so the last thing I definitely wanted to make sure that I asked, and I swear I'm not trying to trip you up, but we need skilled workers. We need garbage men who go and pick up trash, and I don't think, but I could be wrong, but I don't think that like turns anybody on in a very purposeful, intimate way. Just a gruddy career, like something that just has to get done. What do you say to them when they're trying to reconcile their careers of, they want to be purpose driven and they want to feel soulful about their career, like but we need them. We need people who do that. Speak to that.
Okay, so going back to something earlier we were talking about, I don't think purpose-driven just means these heady, I have a degree that doesn't apply anywhere else, and now I'm going to do something world hungry, right? Like for some people, garbage collection could be purposeful. It might be like a stepping stone to something else, or it might be like a starter job you do while you're looking for the next thing. Okay. I don't think we're in any threat of like losing our worker class, but I do think that for individuals, it's about what comes next. Is there any purpose you can make of the job you're stuck in while you're here? And the idea that there's mobility, so if you're in a grunt job that you don't like, that you can get out of it.
So it doesn't have to be what it is. Yeah, okay, I gotcha. That one was tripping me up last night. I was reading Purpose Paradigm, and I was like, oh Lord. But what about the
Like
cafeteria lady?
the most enlightened, garbage
Yeah.
collectors. And
Yeah. And I love that it doesn't have to be heady, because I think that there are people who like intelligent, heady concepts. They like working with that. That's them. And there are people who totally that's annoying to them. They don't want to be in their heads all the time. They want to do something physical, or be making actual things happen instead of brain stuff happen.
right, like there are people who may prefer to work with their hands, and it's not this like oh, but they like creating, they like making, they like fixing. That's just as purpose driven as the person who's solving world hunger.
Yeah.
It's your personal connection to the work.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is all the questions that I wrote down that I really wanted us to get to. But I would like you to go ahead and tell us anything else that you've been wanting to say to people. Is there anything that you've been feeling called to bring to light, especially since you've just released this book and you're hearing some feedback?
Yeah, so the feedback has been great, which is awesome for me, but
It's wonderful.
it's really wonderful to see this work affecting other people. And again, the idea that this is bigger than just what's my next job. This is a real paradigm shift. So I guess just if there's anyone who's like, well, that sounds nice, but meanwhile, I'm going to be over here in my cube. This change doesn't have to be an overnight one. For a lot of people, it
Mm-hmm.
starts small as, I'm going to bring a potted plant to work. And then the
Mm-hmm.
next week, it's like, I'm going to actually take my vacation time. And then the next month, it's like, oh, I'm going to apply for that other job I saw over there. Or I'm going to move out of the apartment. So this stuff can sound big and unrealistic. But one of the central messages of the purpose paradigm is that this isn't ideal, but it's an achievable ideal.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess I would want to say for any doubters to try, to just
Mm-hmm.
start making changes, because they add up.
And the achievable part of it is definitely there. I mean, I noticed that in your book, there's little spots to kind of a little bit worksheety, not quite a worksheet, but there's spots to kind of to talk about in your head what fits for you here and start. There were spaces where you could kind of rate where you are, and I think that helps people start to see it in their world and start to see how that like translates into their lives instead of it just being this conceptual ideal like you were talking about.
Right. I wanted this book to be, yes, inspiring and make you want to do stuff, but also really practical. So it's not just floaty ideas, but it's okay. How does this relate to me today? What changes can I make now?
Yeah, I think that's really great. I think that it'll help a lot of people because of that, because it is a very like okay, we've read all this and now we can actually take action. We don't have to just like the next day decide to quit our job, but we can take an action that will move us in the right direction and make us feel like we're on the path to having a career that feels purposeful instead of just being stuck. I mean, of course, you wrote it. So I wanted to ask you where we can find your book.
Yeah, so my website is called Create as Folk. So it's createasfolk.com, and you'll see a little sticker there for the purpose paradigm, and that's where
I'll
you'll
make sure I put it up on the screen when I go to edit. Everybody can get over there. The book, I swear, I read it. It's great. And so if you are feeling at all stuck or confused, or even just like you feel like you're in the right career, but it's not soulful yet, it's not hitting you yet, this book will help you get there. And so definitely go ahead and read it. And thank you, Laura, for joining me
Laura.
and letting me ask you lots of questions and get confused. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.